Alright, so Bant Sun, and the Sun, for those not familiar, stands for the Immortal Sun here. Players can't activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities. You draw an extra card each turn, and your spells cost one less, and your creatures get +1, +1, +1. So, one of the things that this deck does that's kind of interesting is that it is able to leverage this card while still simultaneously playing some reasonable planeswalkers, because the planeswalkers in our deck still have decent effects, even if we have the Immortal Sun in place. So, like, if we have Immortal Sun out, this is still a 5/5 indestructible that attacks every turn, and 3 free here still locks our opponent out of casting spells on their turn. One thing to think about is someone asked, why are we playing God-Eternal Oketra with a low creature count? I agree with that to a degree. I think our overall creature count is a little bit low here for the God-Eternal. Maybe that's something we want to massage here a bit. I am not a huge fan of Conclave Tribunal and Prison Realm as far as enchantment removal goes in the format. Like, there's just a lot of decks that can, like, meaningfully destroy enchantments. And actually, I actually think Prison Realm is worse than Conclave Tribunal, especially in a deck like this where we have some creatures, because specifically, Conclave Tribunal costs 4 mana, and 3 mana, or 4 mana of Vraska is a card that's picking up popularity right now. So I think this card dodging 4 mana of Vraska's downtick is a big deal. So I think I'm gonna trim the prison whatevers and put in some more creatures. Not playing any Deputy of Detentions is strange, right? Past Jeff didn't look at the mana basin here either. There's 7, 12 blue, 12 blue in here. Tocatli's the reason for no deputy. That makes sense. I definitely think Honor Guard is in a good spot right now, so having access to that card is reasonable. Yeah, Ixalan's Binding is not a terrible card. Don't hate that one. Do you want me to grab? Did you update the deck list on your link? I can grab the latest one if you have it there. Yeah, I guess we're gonna end back up right where I was a second ago. Let's start here and see where we go. Oh, the places we'll go. I really feel like Krasis has had diminishing returns as this format's matured. So it's a card that's just like, again, there's Narsets everywhere, which means it's not great. Well, our deck's obviously busted. Opponent's mulligan to 3. Dare I say we are a strong favorite. Our hand's actually really good. It's Elf into Gideon on 2, into Shalai, into Lyra.
Let me lead the charge into dark. I will lend you my strength.
So, they could be a couple of different things. They could be Drakes. They could be Drakes, but they could also be Jeskai friends. I think Time Raveler's not particularly good against either of those decks. I'm going to board in Ixalan's Binding and the extra Shalai here. Shalai is good in the face of Drakes. Yeah, could be Jeskai friends. If they are Jeskai friends, they might want these, but let's submit like this for now and see how it goes. The Immortal Sun, it really isn't that good against Jeskai friends. Can you articulate yourself, Panza? Because their deck kinda doesn't work while it's out. I get that they can, like, still make tokens, but, like, they basically can't take it off the table. So other than, like, generating tokens with Shalai, like, how can you back up your statement and, like, explain why you feel the card's not good? Because I'm not seeing it. Well, they don't always have Narset, and we have creatures to pressure Narset when they do on occasion. Wait, they played a Sulfur Falls last game, right? They played a, yeah, how do they, the big thing is, like, the Friends deck, like, wins by, it largely wins by upticking Sarkhan, so if they can't uptick Sarkhan, a significant amount of their pressure is cut off. That's a Sarkhan's unsealing. Alright, so opponent's playing a Brew. Hence why they are the 77%, quite possibly.
This thing goes. Sometimes restoration. Ah,
yikes!
Not again.
Cannonade keeping us off the Immortal Sun. To let the Vivian get down sooner. All right, so hoping to draw a creature we can cast this turn, so we can go Oketra plus make a 4/4. I mean, again, Panza, I think you're making the really common mistake that is really bad for people to do, but they do it constantly for whatever reason. And, like, I'm not saying I cast the Immortal Sun and I do nothing else and the Jeskai Planeswalker deck dies. That's not what anybody is saying. What we're saying is that the Immortal Sun, in conjunction with playing a functional game of Magic the Gathering, is a reasonable plan against the Jeskai deck. It is not unreasonable to assume that the Immortal Sun, backed up by any amount of decent pressure, is going to be good against what they're doing. Alright, so I think I'm just going to take this and start attacking them. Do I want to kill Unsealing? I think I just want to kill them, right? Like, just, like, get rid of their X5 and, like, attack you. Yeah, it's a great comparison. It's similar to a lot of the hate cards people play against Tron. It doesn't single-handedly beat them, but it's, like, it's a good step in the right direction, basically. Alright, so we're hoping to dodge Galta here. This actually lets them cast Galta, right? Because it makes it 8, and then... Alright, we snuck it out. Someone had asked earlier how the percentages work. The 90 percentages are better than the 70 percentages. So basically at 93%, it means that 93% of all arena players are ranked below where I am ranked. Engineered Expletives. Thank you for the brand new Prime support. Hope you are having a fantastic Wednesday wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me in play this month with that. Galta's 10 GG, I believe, right? That's 12 total. Yeah, percentiles until the top 1200. Top 1200, get a regular number. Yeah, there's a screenshot of us being rank 4 at some point last week. The ranking system on Arena is extremely volatile. Well, you don't I would encourage you to go back and watch that video and read the text on my opponent's card android. It makes their cards cost 2 less. The ranking system is a measure of how well your last 20 matches have gone. Yeah, that's a good estimation. It might even be fewer than that, like how your last 10 to 15 matches have gone. Like if you lose 10 matches in a row, you will likely go from like top 50 to like outside of top 1000. Domri fight and Ripjaw Raptor. That sounds sweet.
Only time will tell.
Looks like we're playing against a feather deck. Between the Gideons and just having more pressure on the play, we're probably going to be able to race them pretty solidly here. Do we know how they generate rankings? Yeah, it's an internal number. When you win, you go up. When you lose, you go down. There's feathers speaking up. Would Gideon and Vigilance have been better there? Why? I think I'm just going Adanto into Conclave this. Yeah, one of the things you have to realize is that, like, for every successful deck that someone makes that ends up being competitive, there are dozens more that end up on the cutting room floor. So, like, even players like myself and Ollie who have, like, played decks that are our own takes into large tournaments and doing well with them, like, we failed a lot more than we succeed. Just how this works. Nissa is very good. But I agree that she just does not fit into the Dreadhorde shell. I did win that match on camera wearing an owl suit. You're not wrong. Alright, lifelink time.
Together we can banish evil from this plane.
Hey, the Rex. Thank you for the 6-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. So, hopefully they can't kill me from 18. Yeah, definitely, Testy Fella. In fact, one of my, from a game theory perspective standpoint, one of my favorite types of articles that get written on occasion is, I like when R&D goes back and talks about, like, decks they had in testing that they feel were actually still really good, but people just never found them in the format. Because they were just combination of cards that nobody ever tried in tournaments or did well with them if they did. Synth Arrow, thank you for the 3-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Alright, so this can give them some lifelink. But if they don't kill Gideon here, even if they kill Gideon, I get to attack for 9. I don't remember the last time I read one of them. I don't know what the frequency is with which they write them. They go up on the daily MTG on occasion. So, like, they can lifelink for 5 here, they can attack with both of these, and then, like, have this come back, but then, like, I'm hitting them for 9 on the backswing. 13 with this, so probably did here. Smooth sprint, sure. That gets them up to exactly 9. I actually think that's false. I think I think Magic in general has far more casual players than competitive players, and casual players are far more likely to be players who just want to brew rather than play established decks. So I think in general, I would expect more players to be considered brewers than people who are just like looking for decks to play. Now, like, in a competitive tournament setting, there's definitely more players who are there to win, who don't care about feeling special, that just want to, like, play the decks that are good. I'm going to trim this. I don't want too much top end against an aggressive deck. Gideon can be a little bit hard to defend on the draw, so I'm going to trim one of him. Bring in our extra pieces of removal. Would I ever do something like Owling Mine again? You mean, like, play a terrible deck for money? Maybe. Dig, thanks for the 15 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Since I'm working so much these days, my time is just more valuable. So, like, the amount of money that I'd have to get to, like, throw away a tournament weekend is, like, probably even more than what I got for the Owling Mine costume, which at that point I'd rather just, like, if I'm gonna play in a tournament, just go play a deck that I think actually is good that I would enjoy. I mean, the reason why I think it feels like in a competitive setting, especially that, like, there's more people net decking than brewing, is because a lot of the people that are brewing decks are awful at Magic, and, like, they're intentionally brewing within these constraints to not play good cards, so, like, they're not being successful because a lot of the brews that get built just aren't good. So, like, if you're only looking at top results, it definitely looks like there's way more net deckers than brews because the net deckers are more successful on average. Because there's just a finite number of good decks to be found, and a lot of them get found. This card is so dumb.
If you show remorse, let's try this.
Decks like this are good examples of a way to brew, I feel like. Like, again, you'll often hear me talk about, well, how many cards in your deck are just playable Magic cards? And if you look at this deck is a fairly unique combination of cards, but if you look at the average card quality in this deck, the average card quality this deck is playing is incredibly high. A lot of the cards in this deck are cards that you see in other competitive decks in the format. Hey, thanks for the 17 months, Blue Newbie. I appreciate it. Welcome back.
That's how it was meant to happen.
And now, if they don't have another removal spell here, this Oketra is going to let us run him out of the game pretty quickly here, hopefully. Probably dead here now. I'm gonna hold on to this so I have something to do after Oketra, but I'd be surprised if we live to get to that point. Really needed to draw like another Oketra or an Angel or a land there. Or sorry, or a removal spell so we can take the feather off the table. So we can have time to get back to the Oketra. Alright. So you're saying there's a chance.
Defend the weak at every opportunity.
I actually have a standard tournament this weekend, Iceman. I'm playing in the qualifier on Magic Arena, and I don't know what deck I'd play. Hopefully by the end of the day we'll have a better idea. Yeah, I think Thorn Lieutenant's just good in general. It's good against random red aggro. While also being reasonable against like 3 on a Teferi. Weird that they didn't plus this and make this indestructible. Someone said we're just dead, right? And I'm not sure I understand why you think we're dead. Actually, I actually feel like with this coming off the top of my deck here, I'm kind of ahead at the moment. Especially if I, like, hit another creature underneath this. Like, there's a creature left. Yeah, I think any of the next 3 decks we're going to play, I could see myself playing on Saturday.
I believe in you, friend.
I actually played a couple of matches with the Black Red Aristocrats deck off stream last night. It felt very reasonable. Wait, they just made this Vigilance? Do I just do this, and then next turn I kick this and punch the Gideon? Yeah, I think that's what I do. I like trade here, chump, and the next turn I power this up and kill the Gideon. Hey, Armored Shoes, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I actually haven't played green-red in the face of all the Jeskai, which is something I should do. If all 3 of these decks, the next 3 decks I play today, don't seem like something I want to play this weekend, green-red Sarkhan's on my list to try still. I'm going to run to the restroom really quick. When I get back, we're going to play some more with this. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, the black-white Aristocrats deck that we have on the docket today has 3 copies of Oketra in it. I agree that she slots very nicely into that archetype. Because you want to play a lot of creatures anyways. I think it's missing blue mana, but the rest of it seems fine. I've been liking the black-red build though. It's like really aggressive. I had a really sweet match with it off stream against Nexus, where like I activated Priest and made myself sacrifice a creature to get exactly lethal. This is speaking of 3 Oketras, it's a little awkward. We're probably a half hour to 45 minutes away from that deck, Waffle.
Leviathans, octopuses, serpents. Oh, I love them all.
Yeah, Hangman. It lines up poorly against both Jeskai friends and the Command the Dreadhorde deck.
Time to clam up. Nature flows with vigor.
Our mana base biting us here a little bit. If I'd have had a blue source, we'd have gotten to Time Raveler, bounced the Growth Chamber Guardian, and then dumpster their Kiora. Yeah, I agree, Ikin. In fact, part of the reason why I'm considering the Aristocrats decks for this weekend is I think the card Cry of the Canarium is at an all-time low for seeing play. So, like, If I was expecting to see a lot of that card, I would be worried, but I don't think that card's like not seeing a ton of play at the moment. Because a lot of the decks that can play it aren't really showing up. Blue Source was probably the best draw in our deck.
This isn't a fight you can win. Don't worry, I got this.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that build. I'm not a big fan of the way that one looks overall. All right, I think I just punched their planeswalkers here. They're at 20 still. We're probably gonna win this game by going long with the God-Eternal, so want to just like cut their card advantage off here.
We will rise again.
So they have a string of 4/4s from this, but my string of 4/4s from God-Eternal is going to be much, much better here, obviously. Perfect.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
Would love to draw a 2 or 3 mana creature next turn, so I can go Thorn Lieutenant plus another one, make a bunch of 4/4s. He's dead, Jim. You've killed him.
That didn't go according to plan.
Dude, the good news is with multiple Oketras is I can just like turn them into 5 mana 4/4s, which is like not the worst. And basically just throw these away. It's not a creature, but it does add more pressure to the table. And with already having 2 knights in play, it's like a pretty decent pickup. So I'll have good attacks here in a couple of turns.
Oh, I look forward to seeing you running away.
Hey, Coldfire, thank you for the 7-month resub there. Or the, sorry, 7, there's a 7-year name, the 2-month resub. Welcome back, I
That's
appreciate the
sound of a
support.
stampede coming straight at ya.
You got it. I'm gonna decline putting this back in my deck because there's 2 of them in my hand. So. Good 5-drop to pick up here too. Midley, thank you for the Mid-Valley with the 2 months. I'm gonna go ahead and just trade this off for a 5/4 here. There isn't really a Vorthos reason for double strike and first strike not applying with the fight mechanic. It's just the way the rules of the game work, basically. Fights aren't inside of they're just a special step inside of combat. Alright, so Baffling End seems fine, Conclave Tribunal seems fine. This is probably a matchup where some amount of Immortal Sun are okay, but I probably don't want all of them to the top end. Knight of Autumn just being a 4/3 that can also randomly gain us life is probably fine. I think trimming Gideon in matchups where we're more likely to be on the defensive is probably not unreasonable. This seems pretty good. One of those is like a green shock land. I could keep that hand, but with it not being, I just can't. Removal into tempo. I just want to dig for an elf or a 2-drop creature here. Alright, fine. Right on time, Llanowar Elves. Alright, so I think that draw means I'm going to Baffling End this. So I can do 2-drop this turn. Well, yeah, so Lifelink and Death Touch add a static effect on a card, whereas First Strike and Double Strike are a special step inside of combat, so they're functionally very different inside of the rules.
Oh, have at it, boys.
Do we just... Okay. Borostorm resolves. So in a pretty good spot here. I get to play this, bounce this, kill their Domri.
Sorry I'm late. I'll protect
you. Wishing I'd left all my Immortal Suns in this game.
You'll see.
Hoping to draw any of our big pieces at top end at this point. Immortal Suns, Oketras, Lyras, Shalais. Stuff like that allows us to go up over the top. Conclave Tribunal now. Perfect.
I've got it. That's more like it.
White aggro Greaseball. White aggro with Gideon especially. Gideon's real good against these decks that are like leaning on sweepers.
Trust me, I have a plan.
Plenty of life to spare. I think their deck runs Cindervines. Definitely in the 75. Whether or not they boarded it in here could be questionable, though. Boarded in Cannony. And I guess we are a History of Benalia deck. Alright, we have a game, as they say. We're ahead, but not... Let's use that before we cast the Immortal Sun here. I agree. The Immortal Sun is probably a good game. Do 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 do. Yeah, this is just Bant good cards. It's like all these cards are like pretty much constructed playable cards. You have an overall reasonable power level of things going on in the archetype. I'm doing all right, Black Sheep. Happy Wednesday. They could be a Bant mid-range deck with a slow start. This could be a growth spiral into a Wilderness Reclamation. Have Conclave Tribunal in my hand here as a little bit of interaction. Either way. Very, very likely a Wilderness Reclamation deck. Evaluating Magic cards in a vacuum shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes Magic cards good. Magic cards aren't good or bad in a vacuum. Magic cards are contextually good or bad based on the format they're being played in.
In this land, we are all connected. Be wary of the ground you walk on.
You start seeing big creases here. They've got 7 mana. It's unfortunate. But it might be en route to stabilization. Shalai, eh? Yeah, definitely Helios. I think I'm actually just going to trade for the Choo-Choo here and then play Shalai. Probably buried at this point. Although that's pretty good. We'll see if they have, like, a Vivian to shoot this down. Time Raveler, yep.
I can no longer stand by and watch. Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
That keeps us from pumping for a turn. If they have a Frilled Mystic, they can keep this from resolving again. Could still have Frilled Mystic. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is excellent because it gets Frilled Mystic instead of this. Unbanned Deathrite Shabbat. Deathrite Shabbat did nothing wrong. Sounds good. Thanks for the support.
Strange and magnificent world. The land fights for us.
Alright, so Lyra can attack uncontested here. Because if they double block, she first strikes down the 6/6. And then Shalai makes her a 6/6. And if they don't block, I pump this up and I kill their Nissa.
I cannot protect you anymore.
This might be a bad idea.
Brutal.
Witness the ties that bind us all. Rise, my elemental friend.
Brutal. Yikes. Alright, I think we're dead. needed an Immortal Sun much sooner. It's good, real good last couple of cards, huh? Huh? I'm not really sure what I want to sideboard here. Ixalan's Binding, I guess, is fine. It's like okay against their Planeswalkers, and it's very good against Hydroid Creases. What do I actually want to cut? Does Adanto Vanguard get outclassed in a meaningful way pretty quickly? I feel like that might be the case. Let's try this. I don't think I want to bring in a bunch of counterspells against my opponent's 3-mana Teferi. These cards are mostly in the sideboard for the Wilderness Reclamation matchup. Grixis, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Alright, so we boarded into Bant Gates, but this hand's, like, pretty good if it runs off some land, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. I'm sure that means we're gonna miss our land drop next turn and die, but hey, we did it. In fact, I'm gonna play this and bounce their Llanowar Elves here.
I am not going to see this one. I've got time. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Let's try this.
Miss! Yay! Better lucky than good.
I am here to aid in the assault. Share in my light.
Nothing. I've got it.
Alright, so I get to jam this down their throat this turn, which is nice.
I am not quite indestructible.
That's more like it.
That's more like it. I get to, Shalai plus Thorn Lieutenant plus Teferi bounce one of their mana creatures this turn, which is nice. Just put a lot of pressure into play. I'm actually just gonna leave that there, because I can play this, bounce it, and then play Shalai or Thorn Lieutenant here.
Don't make another move.
Do I want to do that? I kind of want to just go plus my Teferi, Shalai, Thorn Lieutenant. Since I missed the land. What do we think of that? They get to Teferi bounce my Shalai next turn, though. Is the problem. I guess they get to Teferi bounce my 4/4.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
We will not fail. Harness the elements.
No, I am not making this up as I go.
So, I'm going to throw this away. Really surprised they didn't attack with these. I guess they have 4 mana here. So they're gonna like Frilled Mystic me.
Trust me, I have a plan.
So like, I think I lead on this to start to get the Frilled Mystic out again.
Right on schedule.
I think I just send this back to their hand. Set them back on mana. Takes one of their threats out of play here too.
Here we go.
Well, if they can't take this off the table this turn, I get to go thing next turn. And the question is, am I going to be able to slog through this? They have like a Hydrate Crisis here. The answer is probably no. If we can avoid them drawing X cards, we might be fine. It's probably lights out. Twitch is really stupid, and you can't check stats for sub-gifts. It's actually just not a public metric. It only displays it when you gift a sub. It's really dumb. Wonder if I was supposed to board in Torpor Dork here.
This is hardly my worst defeat.
It shuts off Deputy and Frilled Mystic. Well, there's a possible they board out some of their Frilled Mystics in the 3 free mirror. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be recoverable.
The land fights for us.
Matches like this are honestly one of the reasons too why I kind of like, people ask me why I decided to shy away from the bow deck for this weekend. Like, a lot of these mid-range mirrors just like turn into an arms race towards whoever was more greedy. And as someone who tends to have a lot of respect for aggressive decks in the format, my mid-range decks tend to be worse against other mid-range decks because people tend to respect red aggro a lot less than I do. Dude Light coming in hot with the gifties. Good afternoon to you. Nah, I just want to run people down, I think. But I think both the black-red and black-white aristocrats decks are, like, reasonable selection in terms of, like, these decks can be proactive, but also can go long, too. Alright, both Gideon and Adanto Vanguard are, like, pretty okay here. Depending on what their answers look like. Razor's Edge, thank you for the 4-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. They took kids, huh? Is there a cry in my future opponent? There is, in fact, a cry in my future. Yeah, the Steamkin deck is just really bad, again, in the face of, like, all the Narsets that exist. We were playing that in the first few weeks. Narset wasn't a card that was omnipresent in the format, and it is now. The red-black zombies deck just wasn't consistent enough through interaction. If you go back and watch us play with it a little bit in the second time through, you'll see it. You'll see it come up short. I think I'd rather get Shalai down than Gideon first. They both are decent through Ritual Soot and Cry. This baits out a Bedevil, which is nice.
The gods bless us in our righteous cause. Prepare for battle!
Alright, well, we're ahead on board, even if we're out of cards in hand. It's funny, I was actually just thinking this is a matchup where Immortal Sun's actually not very good. Not only do they not have a ton of Planeswalkers, but this card gets destroyed by Benevolent and Grass Rampage. Although, obviously, we're going to play it if we get to the 6 mana. Ha! If Ugin wants to down tick on here, we get to kill him with the token. Deal. Alright, well, unless they draw something that makes us discard, lands and spells are both good draws at this point. I think anything other than another Immortal Sun is a decent rip. I'm actually going to sacrifice this token and try and draw lands here. That's so unfortunate. Probably dead. It's really close. Lyra's not fantastic. Probably trim a Paradise Druid. Rest of this seems fine. Yeah, aggressive Grixis seems sweet. Yeah, 6 mana's a lot, and the opponent has a variety of ways to interact with artifacts because they're Grixis. So, Benevolent and Grass Rampage are both really mana-efficient ways to take Immortal Sun out of play. So, in addition to being clunky, the Immortal Sun can also just be a very large tempo loss because the opponent can trade 2 or 3 mana for it before it does anything. What would you recommend I have in my deck from my sideboard instead of the mana creatures, Brute Z? So how would you sideboard that's different? Oketra is a really great reason to leave Mana Dorks in our deck, because not only is getting to this card quickly nice, but because we have access to God-Eternal Oketra, it means the diminishing returns mana creatures tend to have as the game goes long are less relevant, because they can turn into 4/4 creatures. So slivers are really good at the casual kitchen table dude light because kitchen table players tend to not play a lot of removal spells or interaction. So in more competitive settings, players have more ways to interact in their decks, basically. Yeah, they're one of like the half a dozen tribes in Modern that are just like bad humans currently. Looking to dodge Cry. Also would have liked to dodge that. Yikes. Missed land drops will be the death of him. Hand's not particularly quick, but it's got some powerful top end. These cards are good against control. These cards are good against aggro. Nah, that sounds too narrow, Isha. Now, minusing this aggressively is bad if they're like a hero deck and play Thief next turn. But against control, I want to down ticket right away so I can just get my card draw in. Yep. Drawing right away, very good in the face of Narset. Commence the end game. Interesting.
That's more like it.
Sure.
I have just the trick for this.
I'll protect you.
History's alright. It's like a card that's good at applying pressure against control and combo, while also being a card that like blocks well against aggro. The place where it really comes up short is the mid-range matchups where your opponent's board is going to outclass it pretty quickly. Yeah, EDH cards tend to be expensive, Jace. The EDH Horizons is going to have a lot of expensive EDH staples. She's dead. You've killed her. I agree, Lighthammer. It's basically, these are all designs that we've had in the file for a while, but didn't fit anywhere. A lot of them are not modern power level. They're just like, oh, these are neat, so let's do it. And like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good designs in there. From a design perspective, the set seems really neat. It's just like, from the perspective of these cards will impact Modern, it's like, not really for a lot of them. And like, obviously there's easy shoe-ins with cards like the new Horizon Canopy cycle being completed. Like, those are easy shoe-ins for Modern, but a lot of these are just like, not fantastic. I mean, Diabolic Edict is basically strictly worse than Liliana's Triumph. Except for some extreme corner cases. Yeah, there's definitely some winners in there, like the new Stepmom. I love that nickname. Stepmom definitely seems playable. Wonder if they have Akaya's Wrath and they're thinking about holding it for this God-Eternal Oketra. I'm definitely not playing Oketra out onto this board unless they kill something. So, we're attacking with everything, and if they just take the hit, I'm passing the turn. I'm not playing another threat out into a sweeper. If they like mission briefing Mortify here, I'll play Oketra as a follow-up. Alright, Adanto Vanguard, I believe in you. You're going the distance. You're going full speed. He's all alone. Flusterstorm's not a modern playable card. Look at the combos that actually see play in modern and the cards that people play on average. Flusterstorm is much worse than Spell Pierce in most of the matchups where you want it. That way we want that type of effect. Adanto Vanguard just like picking this game up and carrying it on his back. It's like, listen, you ain't gonna pressure my health total. I'm impossible to kill. Come at me, bro. Alright, that keeps him alive. Staying alive, staying alive. Staying alive. Do. That's your Duke. Comparisons to Stubborn Denial are also not unreasonable. Which I also agree it's going to be worse than that a lot of the time. Oh, they keep drawing cards that keep them alive, chat. That is not the 3-mana Teferi I wanted for Christmas. Alright, at least I have 3 lethal threats in play. Glass half full. I think it's more for Control Mirror, where it's a cheap way to win a counter mirror. Counter war. You know what else is a cheap way to win a counter war? Dispel. Rotation doesn't happen until October, which is unfortunate. Yay! Adanto Vanguard. Yay! Alright. Opponent's playing, like, weird Esper. I don't know, this is the best way I can phrase it. So, like, I didn't bring in these against the last Esper deck, but I feel like with main deck Commence the End game and, I guess Commence can't be countered. You know, they've got, like, this amass sub thing. I'm gonna bring in 2 Vetoes. Conclave Tribunal seems less than stellar against the Mortify deck. I'm gonna bring in 2 Vetoes and go from there. Not 100% sure what the opponent's doing. Esper control as opposed to heroes not super defined right now. It hasn't been as popular. To a degree, K. But I mean, like, modern is always changing. How's this deck going? It's been okay. We got pretty outclassed against a Hydrate Crisis Bant deck, but it felt like we've had pretty good play in most of the other places we've been playing matches so far. And if you looked at this deck list on paper and told me we were going to get dumpstered by a Hydrate Crisis deck, I would believe you. Like, this deck just doesn't have very good tools for keeping up with that. A card was spoiled for my original pet deck, Martyr Proc. Have to celebrate with some bits. Congrats, Lights. And that's basically what this set is. It's like, this is like everybody's looking for cards for their pet deck, the set. Like, I, for instance, would not complain if we got a playable 1-mana fairy. I would love a playable 1-drop for blue-black fairies. My hand's really good here. I have multiple good 2s and 3s, so this thought erasure, importantly, can't break up my curve. Which is all you can really ask for. Guaranteed 3rd land sounds wonderful. Perfect colors as well here. Keeping my eyes out for a better option with Death Touch and Lifelink for Grixis Hollow Flare. A Fairy Siren Storm Tamer, a Fairy Curse Catcher, A fairy that sacrifices to cast blackmail, I think would be sweet. There's a lot of directions they could go to make a playable 1-mana fairy. I think they could very easily just mimic any of the existing designs with the right subtype. A Teferi. They've got jokes. Rather than play this out, I'm gonna hold on to it so I can play it post God-Eternal for a 4/4. I think it's pretty unlikely that my opponent just like playing it out technically gives me a 2-turn clock, but I think it's just like incredibly unlikely my opponent does nothing for 2 turns.
Oh, I've done the hero thing before.
A 1/1 with Shroud and Death Touch? Yeah, that would be playable. Bye, friends. Oh, Jess Vraska's content. Deal. I mean, by the numbers, the best mid-range deck is almost certainly just the Dreadhorde deck. Like, there's a reason why Ebzan Hero hasn't put up any results in a major tournament. Like, I think the deck is fine and it feels competitive when we play it, but like, if it was truly very good, other people would be playing it and having results with it. It's just the long and short of it. These 2 creatures together are really nice and resilient, because like, this dodges Wrath and this dodges Cry, and they're both resilient to different spot removal in different ways. So as far as 2-drops are concerned, I really like what this deck is doing. Would plussing Teferi there before combat be better? Why is it better? How could it possibly matter? My opponent can't play spells on my turn, so like, why is that relevant? I mean, it really just speaks volumes to how good the Explore package is, right? That, like, this card, and then there's Growth Chamber Guardian too. That's outclassing this also. Let's play one more with this. It feels pretty reasonable. Kind of like what it's doing. It's got game against the various things. I did find the indestructible button. I mean, like, there's nothing really there to give my opinion on, Cambet. Like, it just, like you said it yourself, or it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Like, there's nothing in the game that can cause that to matter, so the timing on when you use it is just irrelevant. Yeah, I think Baby Tef seems sweet. I could see multiple being good in the 75. You definitely want one in the Wish package, but I could even see main decking it being okay. Yeah, I agree with that assessment, Navier. I think this card's good against both the red aggro decks, the white aggro decks, and some others. I want my guaranteed second white for these. An 0-1? No, a zero power death touch creature is not particularly good. Yeah, I think there's a ton of good cards you can play that give you game against the Dreadhorde decks that range from things like Silent Gravestone to the reason why I'm looking at the 2 different Aristocrats decks that are in the queue here are the Black-Red Aristocrats deck gets to play Tibalt as a hate card for the Command the Dreadhorde deck, and Black-White gets to play Torpor Orb. Alright, there are a variety of playable hate cards. Someone was asking earlier about how history lines up in this format. Matchups like this are a place where History of Benalia really kind of comes up short, just because it gets outclassed inside of combat by these cards very quickly, and you don't really have the ability to pressure them out of the game because Wild Growth Walker gains them so much life. It's unfortunate that our Thorn Lieutenant is a warrior and not a knight. Probably be too busted if he was a knight. Yeah, Kai is another good one. Like I said, there are a lot of good tools for being competitive against that deck.
I was getting bored anyway.
And like, again, this is just such a great example of like why this is so tough, right? Like, I have to invest resources into beating their Planeswalker, and now I've beat one of their things, but they're still at 20 here. And Command the Dread Horde is just like looming overhead. Now they have another Planeswalker that I just like have a hard time getting off the table. When I consider some Elder Spell in the Aristocrats decks, maybe if I feel like I have a hard matchup in those places. I don't know where these decks struggle. That's why we're gonna play games with them today.
All stories must end.
And this really feels like how playing against Sultai felt last season, where I'm like here with my mid-range deck, I'm like kind of treading water, I'm kind of treading water, and then like they rip Command the Dread Horde, and then all of the water treading I've done for the entire game is just irrelevant. It doesn't matter. At least the Immortal Sun is better here. This card to a degree is a little bit better here than others too. History of Benalia, not particularly good. Gets outclassed like we talked about. Veto seems fine. I like my random flyers here. This bounces my stuff back to my hand should they pick it up with Command the Dread Horde. This seems fine. Yeah, Oketra is great. Both the Aristocrat decks we're going to play after this have bigger top end. So the Black-Red Aristocrat has 4 Rekindling Phoenix at the top end, and Black-White has 3 Oketra, along with Sarah for the scales. Scene's not amazing, but it's definitely a keep on 6. In. Needs a blue source, but definitely in for a hate card. Get Mad Chad going here so we can threaten to exile something ASAP. Would really like to hit that land so we can get Shalai down to protect Tocatli a little bit.
Your light will cleave the darkness.
Your light will cleave the darkness. Do 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 do. Beep 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 do do. Beep beep beep.
I am not going to sit this one out.
I assume Adanto is coming back to my hand, and then this is gonna attack here. Okay.
Let's try this.
Yeah, the sideways Planeswalkers is abusing. I agree.
I believe in you, friend.
Do I even attack that? Or do I just go upstairs? Just gonna go upstairs. Let's just pressure their health total. So he has an exile target thing in the bank.
This might be a bad idea.
This might be a bad idea. Really glad I didn't let myself get distracted by this idiot.
Right on schedule.
Yeah, probably JVL.
I've got time.
Second Teferi means I'm sad that I didn't just play Thorn Lieutenant. Alright, and now that I drew the blue source, I'm gonna go ahead and have him have this kill this so I can hold up Veto here. Stop a planeswalker.
Really should have seen that coming.
Adanto Vanguard's been really impressive in this deck. I might want a fourth one. Jay Gross, thanks for the 16 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. No, you don't kill you. I kill you. I know this is a Baffling End matchup, especially on the draw. Like being able to exile Wild Growth Walker is good. Like, even if they kill this, they don't get the creature back that I exiled. I'm gonna trim these Lyras on the draw. They're a little bit slow. Let's do this. This is like not amazing, but it's fine.
To the library.
Do I want to block here? I really don't, right? So how do we feel about Elf, Baffling End, crack her for 4? I think I like that. That prevents her from down-ticking this turn. And then next turn, if I draw a land... Like, I can't really defend the Gideon if I play it out this turn. We're just, like, hoping not to get Massacre Girl. That'll be game over.
Your aggression is noted. Let me aid your research.
Hey, Bob. Well, welcome back to a live one. Good to have you on. Hope your project launch went successfully. Yikes. Oh, I just Shalai, right? I just Shalai?
Let's slow this down. Here we go.
Seek and find.
Good morning, Bob. Welcome to our new members of Hoaglandia. Enjoy the gift of speech, courtesy of Bob. Hey, thanks, Inaru. Huh. Alright. Play the most sweet Planeswalker deck that I have. That I can do, Bob. That I can do. Let me dig deep and figure out what that is. It is in a second. Takeaways on this. Missing land drops sucks, believe it or not. I felt like Adanto Vanguard was really, really good, and I feel like I wouldn't mind having a fourth one. Part of me wants another land, but another part of me if we want to make Tocatli Honor Guard work out of the sideboard, one of the things we have to give up is the ability to play explore creatures, which would help us smooth over things. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that giving up this is worth, or playing this is worth not having Jade Light, but the Dreadhorde matchup's definitely really hard without a card like this, so it's kind of a tough corner to be in. I'm not really sure. I think you need to pick or choose what you want to do there. I think having Jade Lights overall would help smooth things out, but they do cost you in the Dreadhorde matchup specifically.